postmodern, secular, post-Christian. These are some of the terms sociologists use to describe our current era. And behind these labels, faith is being challenged. Over the past 15 years, the share of Americans identifying as atheist, agnostic, or nothing in particular has increased nearly 30%. The effects on the church have been dramatic. 40 million Americans have left the church since the 1990s, citing a crisis of faith as one of the prominent reasons. Our culture's default epistemological position is increasingly skeptical, locked into the material world, and blocked off from the transcendent. How should we respond? I would suggest in the same way that the apostles did when the early church faced opposition. And in the same way we see throughout church history, we must be prepared to defend the truthfulness of the gospel and to show its incomparable goodness and beauty. This is what Peter meant when he wrote, "But in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you." This is apologetics. It's a biblical mandate, and it's every bit as critical now as it was in the first century. But there are two weaknesses in the apologetics landscape that need work. The first is that classical apologetics has tended to focus on evidence and logic. That's outstanding and necessary, but it's not enough because beliefs are formed through more than just reason. And the second weakness is that churches have generally outsourced apologetics to academia and independent ministries or relegated it to the periphery. I think we can solve for both of these weaknesses by intentionally integrating apologetics into the life and ministry of the local church. Paul described the church as a pillar and buttress of the truth in 1 Timothy 3. So it seems that the church is the true home for the deployment of apologetics. This is ecclesial apologetics. The church provides a rich soil for a more fruitful defense and commendation of the faith. Persuasion isn't merely intellectual, it's emotional, it's relational, and it's spiritual. And an ecclesial, gospel-oriented apologetic can speak to both mind and heart, intellect and intuition, logic and longings. And the teaching, the worship, the sacraments, and community and experience within the local church fortify our rational appeal with demonstration. The church is its own apologetic, that the gospel offers the best explanation of reality and offers true hope and meaning. The benefits of this are wide-reaching. Apologetics matters to discipleship, engaging minds, and equipping the saints to engage with skeptics. We can draw on apologetics to help the people under our care work through doubts and find greater assurance in the fight of faith. This is especially important in preparing our youth for the inevitable challenges to their faith. We can deploy apologetics within expositional preaching. Let's be willing to voice the questions that unbelievers might have and show how the Word of God answers them. By engaging with potential objections, we'll win a hearing with skeptics and strengthen the faith of believers. And of course, apologetics can support the church's outreach and evangelism. Within ecclesial apologetics, whether the context is a special event, a small group, or a one-on-one conversation, the church provides a pivot point between evidential and existential arguments, between facts and stories, between an apologetic of despair that unmasks the emptiness of the human predicament and an apologetic of hope that shows the beauty and cohesion of the gospel story. It's time for the church to embrace apologetics. The world is searching for meaning, trying to make sense of existence, and grasping for a hope that can only be found in the gospel. Let's show the reason for this hope, church.